credentials. The anomaly was in the reasoning pattern, not the permission set. IPP3A takes effect on the 1st of May. It requires demonstrating which agents collected personal information, from which sources, and for what stated purpose. Access logs give you the first two. Only a reasoning layer log gives you the third. How many of your AI agents can you account for at the reasoning layer, not just the access layer?
Let's get into it.
I'm Andreas Hamberger. This is the Hamberger Report, where I cover Zero Trust architecture for the Agentic Enterprise. Chapter 9 gave every agent a badge, a defined purpose, and a constrained permission set. It established the identity layer, the architectural foundation on which every other governance control depends. Chapter 10 addresses the question that identity alone cannot answer. Once you know which agents are operating, the next governance obligation is knowing what decisions they are making, not what data they touched, what they decided about that data, and why. The distinction carries two compliance deadlines. MCSS mandatory entities must demonstrate cybersecurity capability maturity to the NCSC by the 30th of April. IPP3A takes effect on the 1st of May. Both frameworks require that you can demonstrate governance, not merely assert it. The infrastructure that makes demonstration possible is logic logging. The architecture community has a well-developed answer to what happened. Access logs, SIEM integration, network flow analysis, NZISM v3.9 section 16.6's requirements for event monitoring are well understood. What the v3.9 expanded mandate implies but does not explicitly state is that for AI agent workloads, the events that matter are reasoning events, not only system events. A user accessing a file produces an access event, timestamp, identity, resource, permission level. An AI agent making a recommendation produces something structurally different, a chain of inputs, a reasoning sequence, a weighted conclusion, and an action. Standard event monitoring captures the action. It does not capture the chain that produced it. The ManageMyHealth breach in December 2025 illustrates the operational consequence. Access to records was technically authorized, valid credentials, correct permissions, no access control alert. The anomaly was volume, not permission. Detecting volume anomalies requires a baseline of expected behavior. For AI agents, that baseline is a reasoning pattern, not only an access pattern. The forensic lesson is direct. Access logs tell you a door was opened. They do not tell you why. Logic logging is the structured capture of AI reasoning chains, data access events, and decision rationale in a form that survives an audit. Three concepts are deliberately distinct, and confusing them creates architectural gaps. Observability, addressed in depth in Chapter 27, captures technical execution, what the agent did, how fast, with what resources, against which services. Observability answers operational questions. The Logic Firewall, introduced in Chapter 25, inspects and can interrupt agent reasoning chains before they produce actions. The Logic Firewall is a policy enforcement mechanism. Logic logging is the passive audit layer. It records what happened at the reasoning layer so that it can be reviewed, reconstructed, and reported. Its job is not to prevent anything. Its job is to ensure that nothing is unaccountable. Longer separation matters architecturally. You can have observability without logic logging. You know the system is running, but you cannot reconstruct a specific decision for audit. You can have logic logging without the logic firewall. You can reconstruct decisions, but you did not intervene in them. In the governance maturity sequence, logic logging comes first. Chapters 5 and 6 introduce the lethal trifecta, the compound risk created when an AI agent simultaneously holds access to sensitive data, exposure to untrusted external content, and the ability to execute actions or communicate externally. The trifecta establishes that an agent with all three capabilities is structurally capable of acting as an insider threat without triggering conventional access controls. What those chapters did not fully develop is the forensic consequence. When a trifecta-capable agent acts unexpectedly, investigation has two structurally different findings available. the agent acted outside its authorized parameters, a governance failure, or the agent acted within its parameters but under external manipulation, a security failure, specifically a successful prompt injection. Distinguishing between those two findings requires evidence of what the agent was reasoning, not only what it did. Research cited in Chapter 9 indicates prompt injection success rates against some open source models in the range of 88%. This threat category is not hypothetical. A logic log captures the reasoning chain, which inputs the agent weighted, which rules it applied, which conclusions it drew before acting. The presence of an anomalous reasoning chain does not prove manipulation. Its absence makes investigation impossible. The Trifecta's threat model is only fully governable with logic logging in place. New Zealand's regulatory stack establishes the compliance demand directly. Long's regulatory stack establishes the compliance demand directly. Version 3.9 added active event monitoring, detect events as they occur, and maintain the capacity to investigate them. Section 11.8 establishes that centralized tamper-evident log storage is required for any system whose actions carry audit significance. AI agents making decisions that affect personal information carry audit significance. Logic logs require the same storage and tamper evidence treatment as access logs. The minimum cybersecurity standard requires mandated agencies to demonstrate CS-CMM Level 2 compliance across 10 domains. Audit log management is a capability domain. Level 2 requires that logging is defined, documented, and operating to a schedule. For organizations that have deployed AI agents since October 2025, the audit log management domain has an agent dimension that many evidence packages do not yet address. IPP3A creates a notification obligation when an agency collects personal information from a source other than that individual, an AI agent that retrieves records via third-party API to inform a recommendation has collected personal information indirectly. Demonstrating compliance requires knowing which agent accessed which records, when, and for what stated purpose. Access logs provide the first two. Only a reasoning layer log with data access annotation provides the third. 3 international frameworks, published in early 2026, arrive at the same architectural conclusion through different paths. The Cloud Security Alliance Agentic Trust Framework, published in February 2026, applies zero trust principles directly to AI agent governance. Its core principle: no AI agent should be trusted by default, regardless of purpose or claimed capability. Trust must be earned through demonstrated behavior and verified continuously. The ATF's implementation sequence begins with structured logging. You cannot verify what you cannot observe. An agent earns the right to increased autonomy by accumulating a verified record of reasoning decisions that remained within authorized parameters. Logic logging is the infrastructure that makes that record. The NIST National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence AI Agent Standards Initiative concept paper, published in March 2026, defines Dimension 4 as explainability and auditability. It proposes that any certified agent system must provide a complete reasoning reconstruction report for any historical decision within 24 hours. For NZISM organizations with U.S. government or defense supply chain exposure, alignment with this proposed standard is likely to become a contractual requirement. Industry research drawing on Deloitte's 2026 State of AI in the Enterprise survey indicates that only around 1 in 5 organizations currently reports measurable AI revenue growth. The structural correlation is direct. Audit-capable AI is also performance-measurable AI. You cannot optimize what you cannot audit, and you cannot audit what you have not logged. Logic logging is an architectural layer connecting the agent's reasoning engine to the organization's audit and compliance systems. 4 components must be present. A decision record, the minimum information required to reconstruct a reasoning event. Agent identity, the trigger event, data accessed, reasoning steps, the conclusion, and the action initiated. Each record is timestamped and signed. A reasoning trace, the agent's internal chain of reasoning where available. Which inputs were weighted most heavily? Which rules were consulted? Which alternatives were considered and rejected? Not all agent architectures produce accessible reasoning traces. The presence or absence of this capability should be an explicit selection criterion for high-stakes deployments. A data access log, which records were accessed during the reasoning event, from which sources, and with which permissions. This is the IPP3A relevant component, the evidence that an indirect collection event occurred and what was collected. And a tamper-evident audit trail, an immutable record store with the same integrity standard as financial transaction logs. After the fact, no element of the record may be altered without detection. Chapter 9 addressed NSA Zero Trust Phase 1, mapping all assets and identities. Phase 2 adds behavioral monitoring and anomaly detection. Logic logging is Phase 2 at the reasoning layer. The sequence is not arbitrary. You cannot establish a reasoning baseline for agents whose identity is undefined. An OPC inspector with authority under the Privacy Act 2020 can request without advance notice a record of how a specific individual's personal information was processed by your AI systems in the preceding 24 months. Most NZ organizations deploying agentic AI today cannot produce that record. Their access logs show the event occurred. Their reasoning logs do not exist. If you receive that request tomorrow, how many of your AI agents could you account for at the reasoning layer, not just the access layer?
That is the Hamberger report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamberger, and I will see you tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.